The committee will reconvene. I certainly want to thank each and every one of you for your patience. I want to also apologize for the time that you have been forced to spend here. This has been an abnormal day with a lot of abnormal activities. And I might add, it's been a record-breaking day. We've, according to some note, we've had at least 54 consecutive votes, one after another, and that's never happened before, as that we know. So it's not something we were proud of, but the fact that it has been that kind of a day. And we're going to proceed, go right to our witnesses. I want to start on my left to the right. We will proceed with introducing our witnesses. Mr. Jeffrey Chester is the Executive Director for the Center for Digital. Okay, well, now, let me, all right. Let me, okay. This is the correct, let me start over again. Mr. Edward W. Felton is a professor of computer science at Princeton University. Next to Mr. Felton is Mrs. Ann Toth. She's the Vice President of Policy and Head of Privacy for Yahoo. Ms. Nicole Wong is the Deputy General Counsel responsible for privacy for Google. Mr. Christopher R. Kelly is the Chief Privacy Officer at Facebook. Mr. Jeffrey Chester now is the Executive Director of the Center for Digital Democracy. Mr. Charles D. Coran, is that how you pronounce that? Coran is the Executive Director of Network Advertising Initiative. And Mr. Scott Cleland is the President of Precursor LLC. Again, we want to thank the witnesses for their patience and for their appearance before the subcommittee this morning. It is the practice of this subcommittee now that we will swear in all the witnesses. So would you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Let the record reflect that all the witnesses have responded in the affirmative. And now we ask the witnesses to enter into opening statements. And Mr. Felton, you are recognized for 5 minutes or thereabouts. Okay, so please pull the mic in front. Yes, turn it on and let it rip. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Rush, Chairman Boucher, for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Edward Felton. I'm a professor of computer science and public affairs at Princeton University. I am here as a technologist. I'm a computer science professor, and I'd like to explain some of the technology behind behavioral advertising. The most serious privacy concerns are raised not by the presence of advertising, but by the gathering of information about users that can be used either to target ads or for other purposes. I'd like to describe what technology makes possible. Responsible ad services do not do everything that's possible, and I don't mean to imply otherwise. Others on the panel can describe what their own systems do. To explain what this technology allows, I'd like to walk through a scenario illustrated by the diagram on the last page of my written testimony. And if I could have the display, please, of the PowerPoint. I think we're trying to bring that up. I'm sorry. What I'd like to describe, Mr. Chairman, is a is a scenario involving behavioral advertising. Thank you. And in this beginning of the scenario, I go to a weather site, and I look up Thursday's forecast for Washington. The weather site sends me a page with the forecast information and a hole where the ad should be. And along with that page, it sends my computer a command telling it how to find the ad. Following these instructions, my web browser connects to an ad service, shown here at the bottom, and asks for an ad. Along with this request, information is sent to the ad service about me. The fact that I'm looking up Thursday's forecast for Washington, and the fact that I normally look up the forecast in Princeton, New Jersey. The ad service remembers this information. The ad service sends an ad which is inserted into the page. The service also sends an ad, in this case, related to travel to Washington, because I looked up the Washington, D.C. forecast. The service also sends along a so-called cookie, which contains a small unique code, which in this example in the diagram is 7592. And my computer stores this cookie. Later, I visit a social network page, which also contains an ad. Again, the page has a blank space for the ad, and my computer contacts the ad service to get an ad. My computer automatically sends along the cookie that the service provided earlier. This request for an ad carries more information about me. It says that I'm interested in baseball and jazz, which the social network site knows, and that my name is Edward Felton. The ad service recognizes that the cookie is the same as before, so it knows that I'm the same person who looked up DC weather earlier, and it adds the new information to its profile of me. The service sends back an ad. This time it's an ad for Washington Nationals tickets, because I looked up Washington weather earlier, and I'm interested in baseball. Notice that the ad service is connecting the dots between things that I did on different sites, between something I did on the weather site and something I did on the social network site. This allows it to better target ads and also to build up a more extensive profile about me. Next, I go to a bookstore and look up books about travel in Hawaii. The bookstore site sends this information to the ad service along with another ad request. Again, the cookie allows the ad service to link together my bookstore activities with my earlier activities on other sites. The ad service sends back an ad for jazz CDs because it knows I like jazz, because the social network site told it. By this point, the ad service knows enough to identify me. It knows I live in Princeton, and it knows that my name is Edward Felton. The ad service buys access to a third-party commercial database, using what it knows about my identity to get more information about me. In this example, the ad service gets my credit report, and my insurance history, which it adds to my profile along with the other information it had. And finally, I go to a news site that uses the same ad service. My computer again requests an ad. The ad service in this case sends an ad for budget Hawaiian vacations. It knows that I'm interested in visiting Hawaii because I looked at Hawaii books at the bookstore. And it knows I'm interested in a low-cost trip because it has my credit report. The news site sends information about what I was reading. In this example, I was reading about cancer treatments. This information is added to my profile as well. In this scenario, the ad service got information in 3 ways. First, content providers sent along information about what I was doing on their sites and what I had done in the past. Second, the ad service connected the dots to link my activities across different sites at different times. And third, the ad service accessed third-party commercial databases. All of this information ended up in my profile. The result was well-targeted ads, but also the creation of an electronic profile of me containing sensitive information, which could in principle be resold or reused for other purposes. Now, ad services are not the only parties who can assemble such profiles, but large ad services do have a prime opportunity to build profiles due to their relationships with many content providers who can pass along information about users, and due to the ad service's ability to connect the dots by linking together a user's activities across different websites. All of this is possible as a technical matter, which is not to say that responsible ad services do all of it or even most of it. Ad services may be restrained by law, by self-regulation, or by market pressures. What is clear is that technology by itself cannot protect users from broad gathering and use of information.
Mr. Feldman, I'm embarrassed to say this, but would you please bring your statement to a close? You've extended your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just wrapping up. I just wanted to thank the committee for holding this hearing and for giving me the opportunity to testify. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Mrs. Toth, is it Toth or Toth?
It's Toth.
Toth. Mrs. Toth, you're recognized for 5 minutes for the purposes of opening statements.
Chairman Boucher and Rush, Ranking Members Stearns and Radanovich, members of the subcommittees, I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today at this important hearing. My name is Ann Toth, and I am Yahoo's Vice President of Policy and Head of Privacy. I joined the company over 11 years ago and became one of the very first dedicated privacy professionals at any online company. Quite simply, my job is about making sure Yahoo earns and maintains its users' trust each and every day. Yahoo was founded by Jerry Yang and David Filo, who were trying to help people find information that was useful and relevant to them among the clutter of the early World Wide Web. What began as a directory of popular websites quickly grew into a globally recognized brand that provides a wide range of innovative and useful products and services to 500 million users worldwide. The internet has changed a great deal, and this hearing recognizes its importance in our global economy. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all internet content. Our consumers expect not only that Yahoo will meet their needs, but that we will anticipate those needs as well. The same is true for advertising. Consumers are more likely to click on advertising that speaks directly to them and their interests. For example, Yahoo might deliver ads featuring hybrid cars if a user spent a great deal of time on Yahoo Green or has recently browsed car reviews on Yahoo Autos. Put simply, customized advertising helps consumers save time and energy. As you may know, Yahoo offers our industry-leading products and services largely for free. Our business also depends almost entirely on the trust of our users. It has been paramount to our growth and is critical for our future success. Our approach to privacy couples front-end transparency, meaningful choice, and user education with back-end protections for data that limit how much information and how long personal identifiers are maintained. Let's start by talking about transparency. Our Leading Edge Privacy Center, which you can see in the slide that's being projected, provides easy navigation, information on special topics, and gives prominence to our opt-out page. And actually, if we could move to the next slide. Making it simple for users to find and exercise their privacy choices. We have also experimented with a number of ways to provide notice and transparency outside of standard privacy policies, giving users multiple privacy touchpoints. We must also put control in the hands of our users. We have an opt-out that now applies to interest-based advertising both on and off the Yahoo network of websites. Whether a user touches us as a first-party publisher or as a third-party ad network, we want them to have a choice. We also didn't want users to have to redo their opt-outs again and again, and took the further step of making our opt-out persistent for users who've registered for a Yahoo account. This means that these users who clear their cookies will not inadvertently clear their privacy choices at the same time. The final aspect of the front end of privacy protection is user education. For over a year, Yahoo has displayed on average 200 million ads per month that explain our approach to privacy. All of these front-end steps are complemented by back-end protections. We focus on security and data retention as core aspects of protecting back-end privacy. We recently announced the industry's leading data retention policy. Under this policy, we will retain the vast majority of our weblog data in identifiable form for only 90 days. This dramatically reduces the period of time we will hold log file data in identifiable form and vastly increases the scope of data covered by the policy. The limited exceptions to this policy are explained more fully in my written testimony. We believe that our front-end, back-end approach to privacy builds a circle of trust with users, providing transparency, meaningful choice, and extensive education coupled with strong security and minimum data retention. Much attention has been recently paid to the question of whether an opt-out or an opt-in approach to user control in the area of interest-based advertising is best. The answer is both. The decision about whether to ask for opt-in consent or give users the opportunity to opt out depends on the individual services being provided and the information being collected. Most advances in online privacy protection have come as a result of industry initiative and self-regulation. Market forces drive companies like Yahoo to bring privacy innovations to customers quickly, As one company leads, many others follow or leapfrog by innovating in new ways. So as Congress considers its role in helping protect consumer privacy online, Yahoo hopes that legislators will consider an approach that enables providers to keep pace not only with technological advances, but with customer demands and expectations as well. I am very proud of Yahoo's record of trust and commitment to privacy and the industry's history of responsible self-regulation. I look forward to sharing our experience with you in more depth, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Toth. Now the chair recognizes Ms. Wong. Ms. Wong, you have 5 minutes or thereabouts.
Thank you. Chairman Rush and Boucher, Ranking Members Radonovich and Stearns, and members of the committee, I'm pleased to appear before you this evening to discuss online advertising and the ways that Google protects our users' privacy. Online advertising is critically important to our economy. It promotes freer, more robust, and more diverse speech. It enables many thousands of small businesses to connect with consumers across the nation and around the world. It helps support the hundreds of thousands of blogs, online newspapers, and other web publications that we read every day. Over the last decade, the industry has struggled with the challenges of providing behavioral advertising. On the one hand, well-tailored ads benefit consumers, advertisers, and publishers alike. On the other hand, we recognize the need to deliver relevant ads while respecting users' privacy. In March, Google entered this space and announced our release of interest-based advertising for our AdSense partner sites and for YouTube. Interest-based advertising uses information about the web pages people visit to make the online ads they see more relevant. And relevant advertising has fueled much of the content, products, and services available on the internet today. As Google prepared to roll out interest-based advertising, we talked to many users, privacy and consumer advocates, and government experts. Those conversations led us to realize that we needed to solve 3 important issues in order to provide consumers with greater transparency and choice, which are core design principles at Google. First, who served the ad? Second, what information is being collected and how is it being used? And finally, how can consumers be given more control over how their information is used? This evening, I'd like to show you how we answered each of those questions with the launch of interest-based advertising, which includes innovative, consumer-friendly features to provide meaningful transparency and choice for our users. When you see an online ad today, you generally don't know much about that ad. It's difficult to tell who provided the ad and how your information is being collected and used. Google is trying to solve this problem by providing a link to more information right in the ad, as you can see where it's labeled Ads by Google. This is very different from current industry practices, but we believe that it is important to provide users with more information about the ad right at the point of interaction. We believe that this is a significant innovation that empowers consumers, and we think that this is the direction that many in the industry are going. If you're curious about getting information about the ad, you can click on the Google link and navigate to an information page about Google Ads, which you can see here. On this page, you're invited to visit our Ads Preference Manager, which helps explain in a plain language, user-friendly format what information is being collected, how it's being used, and how you can exercise choice and get more information about how this advertising product works. Here's the Ads Preference Manager. This innovative tool allows you to see what interests are associated with an advertising cookie, the DoubleClick cookie, that is set in the browser you're using. In this case, Google has inferred from that my cookie should be associated with hybrid cars, movie rentals and sales, and real estate. This is because I've visited sites using the browser about hybrids, movies, and real estate. Before Google introduced the Ads Preference Manager, most users had no idea what interests were being associated with their cookies online by advertising companies. We're the first major company to introduce this kind of transparency. Now, you can see those interests, and if you don't agree with those interests, maybe you're not a movie fan or you simply don't want to see ads about movies, you can delete any one of them, or a few or as many as you want. So, for example, if you want to delete movie rentals and sales, you can do that with one click, and I've just done that. Likewise, you can add any interests you like. Note that Google does not use sensitive categories, so there's nothing in here about sexual orientation, religious affiliation, health status, or the like. But there are many, many other options. For example, if you're a sports fan, you can associate your cookie with sports. And with a click, I've decided that I'd like to receive ads personalized for sports fans. If you prefer not to see interest-based ads from Google, you can opt out at any time with one click. After you opt out, Google won't collect information for interest-based advertising, and you won't receive interest-based ads from us. You'll still see ads, but they may not be as relevant. The opt-out is achieved by attaching an opt-out cookie to your browser. Opt-out cookies in the industry, however, have traditionally not been persistent. That is, they're often inadvertently deleted from the browser when a user deletes her cookies. So our engineers have developed a tool that was not previously available that makes Google's opt-out cookie permanent, even when users clear other cookies from their browsers. After you opt out, just click the download button and follow the instructions to install a browser plugin that saves your opt-out settings even when you clear your cookies. I hope this gives you a better idea of how Google shows interest-based ads and how we provide users with transparency in the right place at the right time, as well as meaningful, granular, and user-friendly choices for setting ad preferences or opting out. Thank you very much for your time.
Next, we welcome Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Chairman Rush and Boucher and Ranking Members Radonovich and Stearns and members of the subcommittees, thank you for this opportunity to address important privacy matters on the Internet. We agree with you that protecting privacy is critical to the future growth of the Internet economy. Facebook now serves more than 200 million active users worldwide, roughly 70 million of whom are in the United States. We are a technology company that gives people the power to share their lives and experiences in an authentic and trusted environment, making the world more open and connected. Facebook's privacy settings give users control over how they share their information, allowing them to choose the friends they accept, the affiliations they choose, and how their information is shared with their friends, and if they desire, the world at large. Today, I would like to make 4 key points. First, Facebook's user-centric approach to privacy is unique, innovative, and empowers consumers. Our privacy-centric principles are at the core of our advertising model. Second, in offering its free service to users, Facebook is dedicated to developing advertising that is relevant and personal without invading users' privacy, and to giving users more control over how their personal information is used in the online advertising environment. Third, we primarily achieve these objectives by giving users control over how they share their personal information that model real-world information sharing and providing them transparency about how we use their information in advertising. And fourth, the Federal Trade Commission's behavioral advertising principles recognize the important distinctions made by Facebook in its ad targeting between the use of aggregate, non-personally identifiable information that is not shared or sold to third parties versus other sites and companies' surreptitious harvesting, sharing, and sale of personally identifiable information to third-party companies. Facebook understands that few of us want to be hermits, sharing no information with anyone, nor do many of us want to share everything with everyone, though some do want that. Most people seek to share information with friends, families, and their family and others that they share a social context with on a regular basis, seeking to control who gets our information and how they have access to it. People come to Facebook to share information. We give them the technological tools to manage that sharing. Contrary to some popular misconceptions, full information on Facebook users isn't even available to most users on Facebook, let alone all users of the Internet. If someone is searching for new friends on Facebook, all that she might see about other users who are not yet her friends would be the limited information that those users have decided to make available. Most of our users choose to limit what profile information is available to non-friends. They have extensive and precise controls available to choose who sees what among their networks and friends, as well as tools that give them the choice to make a limited set of information available to search engines and other outside entities. We are constantly refining these tools to allow users to make informed choices. Everyday use of the site educates users as to the power they have over how they share their information, and user feedback informs everything that we do. Facebook is transparent with our users about the fact that we are an advertising-based business, and we explain to them fully the uses of their personal data that they are authorizing by interacting with Facebook either on Facebook.com or on the over 10,000 Facebook Connect sites throughout the web. Ads targeted to user preferences and demographics have always been part of the advertising industry. The critical distinction that we embrace in our advertising policies and practices, and that we want this committee to understand, is between the use of personal information for advertisements in personally identifiable form and the use, dissemination, or sharing of information with advertisers in non-personally identifiable form. Users should choose what information they share with advertisers. This is a distinction that few companies make, and Facebook does it because we believe it protects user privacy. Ad targeting that shares or sells personal information to advertisers, name, email, or other contact information without user control is materially different from targeting that only gives advertisers the ability to present their ads based on aggregate data. So to take in Dr. Felton's example, if you were to navigate to the social networking site in his example, if it were Facebook, that we would not be sharing with the ad provider that he was Edward Felton or that he liked jazz. So on Facebook, a feedback loop is established where people know what they are uploading and receive timely reactions from their friends. The privacy policy and users' experience inform them about how advertising on the service works. Advertising that enables us to provide the service for free to users is targeted to the expressed attributes of a profile and presented in the page, the space on the page allocated for advertising without granting an advertiser access to any individual user's profile. Unless a user decides otherwise by directly and voluntarily sharing information with advertisers can only target Facebook advertisements against non-personally identifiable attributes of a user derived from profile data. Facebook builds and supports products founded on the principles of transparency and user control, and we thank you very much for the opportunity to present our philosophy in the approach to online advertising before this committee.
The chair thanks the gentleman. The chair now recognizes Mr. Chester for 5 minutes.
I want to thank the chairs and ranking members and the members of the committee for their interest in privacy, for holding this hearing, and to support their efforts to, I think, help Americans get a fair digital data deal, and that's what they deserve. Just very quickly before I make 4 points, I submitted my testimony in writing. It tries to lay out for the committee the broad parameters of the interactive advertising system as we know it in the United States, all the various elements that now are shaping this very powerful system. So you can look at that if you want more information. I've been working on these issues for 15 years, looking at online advertising, online marketing, digital communications. I last worked closely with the Commerce Committee back in 1998 when we led the campaign that established with your legislation the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Right now that's the only online privacy law. It was a bipartisan effort, and what we did for kids we now need to do for teens and adults. Imagine a world, and this is the world that we've created, and you've already spoken about it. Both the chair spoke about it, Mr. Barton spoke about it, others have spoke about it. Imagine a world where every move you're being watched, whatever content you read, what you buy, how much you're willing to spend, and how much you're not willing to spend, where you go, what you like, what you don't like, all that being compiled, outside databases being used, to even build up this even larger profile of who you are. They even include your race, whether you're low income or middle class. They call it in the online ad industry digital fingerprints or user DNA. But this very powerful system that's invisible and unaccountable to the average American is constantly collecting and refining and storing all this information and making claims and assumptions about you, your reputation, without any accountability to you as the consumer, let alone as the citizen. That is the online advertising system today as we know it. It's different from traditional advertising because, as you yourself described, right, it's able to track you minute by minute, minute by second. And your information's being sold in online ad auctions in milliseconds. They know who you are and they're selling access to. So it's an incredible system that we've created. And it's now enmeshed in almost everything we do online, watching online videos, even email, doing searches, playing games, this broad data collection system. There's a digital data collection arms race going on as they build this incredibly sophisticated system. And, but I want to make it clear for my second point that our call for privacy and consumer protection rules isn't about undermining the role of online advertising and marketing. That has an important role to play. It's the underpinning, the foundation of our modern publishing system, our new way of life in the digital age. We need to have online advertising and marketing, but we need to do it, and it's not about any particular company here or sets of companies. It's about the overall practices that the industry has created to collect all this information and to use all this information with these very powerful multimedia, in their own words, immersive online advertising services that are not understandable and controllable and definable by consumers. I think, to me, it's very clear if you look at the issue of what's called sensitive data, which I'm hoping you're going to work on, and in particular, financial data. When you look at what happened during the recent financial crisis, online advertising played a major role in encouraging people to take out those subprime mortgages. Online advertisers and mortgage companies were some of the biggest advertisers on the internet during the boom period that led to this current crisis. People had no idea when they were taking out a mortgage or taking out a loan what exactly they were getting, because this system was defining them in certain ways and making them various offers, once again, non-transparent to them. And as a result, they, and I think we, have had to face the consequences. That's why, just as with the financial system, we need some regulation here that puts the system into balance. Yes, they can thrive and build this business, and we can be innovators, but yes, consumers get to ensure what data is being used and how it's used, and they have a chance to change it if it's incorrect. So consumer groups around the country are calling on you to enact legislation as soon as possible to bring fair information principles up to the digital era. Self-regulation has failed. They've been working, with all due respect to my friends here, they've been working on self-regulation for 15 years, and all you have is more and more data collected every minute. Americans shouldn't have to trade away their rights to control their information and have some autonomy in their affairs, whether it's buying a mortgage, looking up a prescription drug, or buying a car, or doing anything else, without having to give their data up. There's a balance. I hope you will help us restore it. There's a win-win possible here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chester. Now the chair recognizes Mr. Coran for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Rush, Chairman Boucher, and members of the subcommittee. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the Network Advertising Initiative for the opportunity to discuss both the economic benefits and the privacy implications of online behavioral advertising. The NAI is a coalition of advertising networks and other online marketing companies dedicated to responsible business practices and effective self-regulation. Originally founded 9 years ago, the NAI has grown to include more than 30 leading online advertising companies, including all 10 of the largest advertising networks. Today, through the NAI's website, consumers can learn more about or opt out of online behavioral advertising by any or all of the NAI's member companies across the many thousands of websites on which such advertising is served. Today's hearing focuses on both industry practice and consumer expectations. The NAI and its members are committed to online advertising practices that strike the right balance between consumers' economic and privacy expectations. We believe that consumers enjoy the diverse range of websites and services that they get for free thanks to relevant advertising, but we must also provide consumers with meaningful notice and choice. Tens of millions of Americans benefit every day from free web content and services made available on the web because of banner advertising served by NAI members. These ad-supported services include news, blogs, video, photo sharing, and social networking services. NAI members support these websites by connecting them with advertisers and by using web browser cookies to serve their visitors with more relevant and compelling advertisements. NAI members provide websites with a broad variety of services. They help smaller websites combine their audiences so they can attract larger advertisers. They help advertisers gauge the success of their campaigns across multiple sites. And they also make online advertising more interesting and useful to consumers by using non-personally identifiable information about users' activity within an ad network to try to predict their likely interests. In the early days of online behavioral advertising, more than 10 years ago, advocates and regulators challenged industry to provide appropriate privacy protections around browser cookies. The NAI Self-Regulatory Code was established to meet that challenge and continues today to apply the same core principles for our members. First, users should receive clear and conspicuous notice on the websites that they visit where data is collected and used. Second, users should have the ability to opt out of behavioral advertising. Third, sensitive data should not be used for online behavioral advertising without a user's affirmative consent. Fourth, a user's affirmative consent should also be obtained if personally identifiable information is merged with information previously gathered about the user's web browsing within an ad network. As these technologies have matured and the online marketplace has diversified, the Federal Trade Commission has called on industry to broaden and enhance its approach to self-regulation. The NAI and its member companies believe that self-regulatory approaches should be as dynamic as the online marketplace that they serve, and we are moving quickly to respond. The NAI member companies are working to develop technologies that would support enhanced consumer notice in or around behaviorally based banner ads. This would allow users to learn more about behavioral advertising and to make choices directly from the ad itself. Additionally, to help protect users' choices, the NAI is implementing technology to improve the durability of user opt-out preferences stored in browser cookies. The NAI believes that its current opt-out approach strikes the right balance in consumers' expectations for today's cookie-based advertising. The model combines an opt-out for the use of non-sensitive, non-personally identifiable information to deliver ads with an opt-in requirement for uses of sensitive or personally identifiable data. This preserves a default experience in which websites provide users with more rather than less relevant advertising. Users have multiple options to control behavioral advertising, either by using opt-outs offered by the NAI's members or their own easily accessible web browser tools. Any significant changes to this model, such as requiring a user's opt-in even to non-personally identifiable uses of cookies to improve ad relevance, could pose a profound risk to both the user experience and the economic model for ad-supported web services. As they navigate from site to site, consumers could be inundated with recurring opt-in prompts asking their permission to serve relevant ads. Consumer rejection of this approach could uproot the revenue model that supports many websites today. It's vital to the continued growth of web services that the right balance is struck between the economic, technological, and consumer protection considerations relating to online advertising. The NAI looks forward to working with the subcommittees as they consider these important online privacy issues. Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
The chair thanks the gentleman. Now the chair recognizes Mr. Cleland for 5 minutes.
Me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, both you and Ranking Member. As a leading Internet expert and consultant, I obviously have Internet companies as clients, which include wireless, cable, and telecom broadband companies in the communications sector and Microsoft in the tech sector. However, I want to emphasize my views today are my personal views and not those of any of my clients. What I want to do is talk about the Internet problem and an Internet solution. So what's the Internet privacy problem? Well, technology has turned privacy upside down. Before the Internet, it was inefficient, it was costly, and it was difficult to collect private information. Now it's hyper-efficient, cheap, and easy to invade privacy. So through inertia, what we have is a default finders keepers, losers weepers privacy policy. Now second, most Americans incorrectly assume that the privacy they enjoyed offline in the past is the privacy they have online, and that's not true. Third, all the technology megatrends out there, social networking, cloud computing, internet mobility, Internet of Things, all of them will dramatically increase privacy risks online. Fourth, there is a significant faction in the technology community that really views privacy negatively as, in some parts, antithetical to the behavioral advertising and the Web 2.0 model. Now, fifth, a problem is that increasingly the underground currency of the Internet is private data. Now, private information is very valuable, but in the absence of a system where consumers can assert ownership and control over their private information, privacy can be taken away from them for free and profited from with no obligation to or compensation due to the affected consumer. Sixth part of the problem, and that is we now have a technology-driven Swiss cheese privacy framework, which may be the worst of all possible worlds. Simply, the haphazard framework we have gives a user no meaningful, informed choice to either protect themselves or benefit themselves in the marketplace arena of their private information. So what's the solution? I think it's very simple. You have a consumer-oriented, consumer-centric approach that's technology and competition neutral. Think about it. It's consumers' private information that's being taken and exploited without their consent. Since it's consumers that are most at risk of having their information misused or used or stolen, wouldn't it be logical for our privacy framework to be organized around the consumer? Now, clearly, businesses should be free to fairly represent and engage consumers in a fair market transaction for their private information. Now, it's fair market transaction where consumers are able to effectively understand and negotiate the risk and reward involved with sharing their private information. Moreover, since the consumer is the only one that knows which information about their personal situation or their views or their intentions or their interests, which ones they're comfortable with sharing, shouldn't it be the consumer that is empowered to make those decisions? So if Congress decides that it's going to legislate in this area, I think one thing is obvious, and that thing is that you should have a consumer framework that would be superior to the current technology-driven framework. That's because it would emphasize protecting people, not technologies. It would empower consumers with both the control and the freedom to choose to either protect or to exploit their privacy. It would prevent competitive arbitrage by creating a level playing field. And it would allow you to stay current with the constant changing innovation because you're not technology-oriented, you're consumer-oriented. And lastly, you're going to be able to accommodate both sides, the people who care very much to protect their privacy, but also those who care less and would like to exploit their private information. So in closing, I think we can do better than the current finders keepers, losers weepers privacy policy that's the de facto policy of the United States. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, for the opportunity to testify.
The chair thanks the gentleman